All you have to do is remove the entire dash, that's all. Have you ever installed a radio before? No?
That's why when I seen all them extra pieces.
Cavalier.
I was thinking that's a handy little book to have in the garage. Tells every car.
Yeah, there's quite a few in here. This is a 2000 Cavalier.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 2000, but the dash is the same as 95 to 99. Actually, 95 to 05 is the same dash. So this book actually tells you how to remove the dash panel, because you have to remove that entire dash pad off the top. I know that's not fun, but it's not that difficult. It's not that easy, but it's not that difficult.
It's a good time to change your gauges and shit if you wanted to put custom gauges in.
Extract one screw from the top center defroster, and he's already done that. And using a panel tool, remove the vent, and he's already done that. And extract one 7mm head screw from under the defrost vent, and I think he's already done that. Sorry about my shake cam, because I didn't bring a real camera. Anyway, using a panel removal tool, remove the left dash panel. Oh, left by the fuse block. So that would be the driver's side then. So these panels here, when you open the door, they have to be removed, and the next step is to do the driver's side, I guess. So grab your screwdriver. So you've already got the cover off the fuse panel. Oh! Okay, I just stuck my hand in there and pulled the whole thing off. You see a push pin there. So that panel's got to come off as well on both sides. And there's a screw right there. So once you get the driver's side screw out, there's the same thing on the passenger side. But this one, you can't get your fingers in it, so you gotta get a screwdriver in it. Same thing, it's just a cover. And there's a screw in the same location. No, maybe not. It's a little bit higher. It's up there, a little bit higher. Okay, so 4 and 5 are done. The driver's side and passenger side. Right side would be the passenger side. Open the glove box and extract the screws holding the front edge of the dash panel. Did you do that? In the glove box? Just open the glove box and remove 3 screws. And then step 7, extract 2 brass 7mm screws from the access hole in the roof of the glove box. Oh, I think those are for your airbag. Let's have a look. Step 7 is extract 2 brass 7mm screws from the roof of the glove box, securing a metal bracket. But I couldn't find any, and the passenger side seems to be loose already. And this is for a 95 to 99, so it might be different on the 2000 model. So we're going to go ahead to step 8. Just carefully release the clips securing the top dash panel of the instrument cluster. Lift the panel up away to remove. Caution, passenger airbag cover is attached to the dash panel and will come off with the panel. Use extreme care when working around the inner airbag. Alright. So let's do that. Let's get that dash pad off. I think this side seems to be loose already. So step 7, I'm not sure if that's relevant for this car or not. Is it power?
No, Chev.
There you go. I'll just let you in. Open sesame. So the passenger side seems to be loose, and I couldn't find any screws up in there that what they were talking about. So we're gonna go ahead and pop up the driver's side. Oh, you got her?
Yeah.
Hey, look at that. Okay, now what are we gonna do with it?
Make sure there's no sensor on the airbag or anything.
No, the airbag's good. We're good. So literally you have to remove the whole dash pad in order to get this piece off. Isn't that silly? That's silly. And look, there's a screw behind it too. There's a screw right now. Right now. Okay, step 9. Extract 3 7mm screws from the radio trim bezel and use a panel removal tool to snap the clips from around the steering, radio and steering column. And then unplug the bezel. So there's another one there underneath of the dash pad on the driver's side. And the third one is right there, right above this heater vent here. Yeah, right there. Where is it? Right there. Okay, so that's where the third and final screw is, right there. So after you get that last and final screw out, this whole bezel is loose now, so it should just pull off and snap off all around, and there'll be wires going to your cigarette lighter, so you have to unplug those, and you just keep pulling it. If you have tilt steering, tilt your steering column, tilt it down out of the way like that, and we'll go ahead and get this cover off and unplug the lighter. After you really yank on her really good and unsnap all these snaps, there was a really tight one right there, and the ones at the bottom, they were really tight. And then after you yell at it and argue with it for a minute and you unplug that lighter, that was fun to unplug. You gotta press down on that tang, and then the whole front piece should go. Oh, there's one more plug over here. Of course there is. So I wonder if you can just set that up out of the way. We'll just set that up out of the way like that, and then we can access the radio. All you have to do is remove the entire dash, that's all. Oh my goodness. Not even gonna unplug that, just leave it sit up there on the dash. Next step is to extract this 8-track player. This was cool back in the 70s.
Not anymore.
So, after you get the screws out, pull the radio out, and unplug this plug here. This is, I think this is the 2000 and up style plug, I'm not sure. What did the wire harness say? Or where's the box for the wire harness?
Oh, I don't know. It's in the back of the truck right now.
So this is the wire harness that you can buy for your aftermarket radio.
94 to 05.
94 to 05?
Yep.
Oh. Okay, well.
And it includes the antenna.
It looks like it's the right one. Hey, can I get you to pull that yellow chunk out of there? Use a screwdriver or a knife or something. You got it? Okay, so we got that and a whole bunch of ends. And then I just drop it on the floor like a clumsy Butterfingers. And we got this, which I think is the same. And I'm going to make sure that none of these wires are touching each other. You want to hold this for a minute? make sure the red and the yellow and the black are not touching anything, just to make sure that you got the right one. And it just plugs in there just like that. So you don't have to cut your harness. You're not gonna cut your car. You're not gonna do any of that. You're gonna take this harness here and you're gonna wire it to your aftermarket stereo, and then it'll just plug right in. So
Cool thing about that is it comes with it. The guy almost tried to June me, but it comes with the antenna adapter.
oh, it comes with the antenna adapter. Yeah, that's good, because the antenna on the small Chevys is a little smaller.
The adapter's $25 alone.
And I think it tells you wiring guide, but my phone won't focus, of course. Yeah, there's a wiring guide there. And these are pretty simple because there's 3 power wires, red, yellow, and black, which is constant on, key on, and ground. And then the speakers, and that's pretty much it. The speakers are all matching colors too. There'll be 2 greens, 2 purples, 2 whites. So all you have to do is match these colors to your aftermarket stereo harness. Where's your stereo harness? The wire harness on the freezer there, I think it is. Yeah.
That's the one that was out of the stereo.
Yeah. So somebody's already done this, but see how they're all joined here in the middle? You just take your plug for your stereo, so this plugs into the stereo over here somehow, some way. And all you do is match the colors. So they've already matched it to this plug. I don't think that's the right one. No, that's not the right one for you. But anyway, same idea. All you do is match the colors. Green to green, purple to purple, white to white, red to red. So it's the same on here. And I brought some shrink wrap tubing too, so we can shrink wrap them. I didn't bring any connectors, but we can twist them and shrink them. Little patience. Do 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 do. Alright, do you trust me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We're gonna have to do some operation here, since you trust me. Okay, so there's 2 plugs on here, and the only one we're using is that gray one, right? Right. So the only 2 wires that comes off of this side is these 2, and there's already a ground and remote over there, and there's nothing important over on this side, so I say we just chop it right off. Then it'll make it less bulky and easier to stick in the dash and stuff. Huh?
It don't matter.
Hey? Huh? Hey? Okay, open those up.
As long as it's not gonna fuck it up or anything.
Let's fuck her right up. Don't cut my fingers
Cut your fingers?
off. Ah! So, since this is a previously enjoyed stereo, I had to remove the previous plug for the previous vehicle. Anyway, so now we're down to something a little more simple. We got the stereo, or the car plug that fits the car. That's the part you buy. And this is the part that fits the stereo. It comes with the stereo. So now it's just matching colors, like I said before. And then we'll shrink wrap them. And yeah, seal them up good and straight and shrink wrap them and plug her in and see if she makes noise. So here's a trick for stripping wire. These are wire strippers. Not everybody might not own these, I suppose. And that's how you strip a wire. But here's a trick if you don't have a wire stripper with a lighter. Try not to burn yourself, or maybe don't try this at home at all. Make sure your lighter actually works to begin with. Just warm it up a little bit, and then find a spot that you want to burn it. Like if we want it to be that long, we'll burn it there. And don't burn it crazy. Don't catch the house on fire. Just get it hot and use your thumbnail and just pull it off like that. That's worst case Ontario, or if you don't have strippers, that works. Okay, so everything's stripped nice and long, ready to go together here. And since we don't have crimp connectors, but we do have shrink wraps, so shrink wraps are awesome. They go over the wire and you heat it up and it shrinks pretty tight. So I'll cut these into probably 3 because they're long enough that you can make 3 out of them, I think. Yeah. If you don't have shrink wrap, you can use just black electric tape or whatever, but I prefer something like this if you don't have crimp connectors. So I'm just going to put the red to the red, and I'm going to slide a piece of this over first, like that, so it's actually over the wire and I'll use it later. And I'm going to put these together like an X, but not tight to the plastic. I'm going to leave them spaced out a little bit. This is something my cousin taught me a long time ago. And I'm going to wrap this end around the end of this wire. I'm going to wrap it around here, and the end of this wire I'm going to wrap it around this one. So that way when I'm done, it'll be a straight wire instead of twisting them together like this and then there's 2 running into a dead end. It'll be straight like this. So you can imagine it being straight and wrapped around each other, but let's just do it anyway. I'm going to do it clockwise. So I'm just going to wrap them around each other like that and just keep wrapping. That's why you leave a little bit of space when you join them together. And if you wrap it nice and tight, and if you have the wires twisted nice and snug, like we've already twisted these ends together so they're pretty good that way, and you get a good strong connection there, and it's straight in line, and it's not really bulky, like there's no big bumps or anything if you do it right. And then I'll slide the heat wrap over top of that and we'll just heat it up. I'm just going to use a lighter. You can use a heat gun or whatever. There's actual heat guns meant for this. And then when you're done, you get a good strong connection. It's like pretty much watertight, and it's not going to spark out or arc out on anything. And we're going to do that on all of them except for the blue wires. The orange wires are dimmers, so we probably won't use the orange ones at all. I've got them cut off. And the blue wire is an amp remote wire, and there's no amplifier on this car, so we won't be using that. We'll probably just cut this one off, and we'll go ahead and finish connecting and shrink wrapping the rest. Oh, there she is, all together, shrink wrapped. And those dimmer wires and remote wire, he said, why don't you put them in the shrink wrap sleeve? I think there was 1 sleeve left, so we put the extra wires in there and just melted it off. And everything else is color coded and pretty easy, and I think it's ready to test. So we'll probably plug it in and test it. So we're gonna plug in the stereo here and test it out before we put all the dash back together. And I'm just going to plug in the harness. I've got this antenna adapter plugged in for trial. Oh, it's making noises. Oh my goodness. Turn the key on and nothing happens. That's not good, is it? Okay, so I've ran into this before where these Cavaliers and Sunfires 2000 and up, you turn on the key and there's only 1 power wire here. I know there's a lot of plugs there, but trust me, I've put the test light on all of them and it's the constant power. So this plugs into here, And there's your yellow wire there, your constant power, top right corner, and the red is right beside it. And those are what you need to run your stereo. You need constant power, and you need one that turns on with your key. So when you turn your key on, your stereo comes on. And if you look right beside the constant power, there's an empty slot there. Right beside this orange wire, that's your constant power. There's an empty slot there. So there's no switched power on these cars. I remember this now because I've done a few of these. It's been a while, but so what I've done previously is you take your red wire, which is your on-off with your switch, and you attach it somewhere else to the car. So there's one here on the heater. The heater it turns off and on with the key. So I've got a test light here, and I'll just show you. See, that lights up. Turn the key off there, and turn the key on. Okay, so that's what we want with the stereo. And that one's not easy to get at, and the wires are small. But there's another, so you can run a wire from there. What you're going to want to do is tap into it. You don't want to cut it, you just tap into it. So you can tap into that wire there. Or, if you don't want to do that, there's one over here at the bottom of your fuse panel, and it's made, I'm not getting a good shot, I know, but anyway, there's one down there, and I'll probe it. It's the second one right here. So turn your key off, turn the key on. So there's an accessory plug there, and it's made for shit like this. So you can put a prong in there. I think you can actually put a wire in there too. So we'll probably just stick a wire in there and then run it to the red wire, because there is no red wire on this harness, which is frustrating. Anyway, let's get her done. Okay, so that brown wire right there, I ran it behind the dash and into the fuse panel, and I just pushed it into that push pin down there. There's an accessory, the one in the middle, there's three of them, or two or three of them, but anyway, I checked it with the test light, and that one comes off and on with the key. So now we have a switched power wire here. I'm going to show you why I don't, why I have to do this. I shouldn't have to do this, but this is the plug-in. These are the power wires in the top corner. There's two of them. They're two different slots. This is a 32 slot connector, I think. So top two slots there. Orange is your primary power, and it's working fine because there's power there to eject the CD. But your secondary power, your switch power with the switch, it should be right beside it. And let me show you. When you plug this in here, I'm trying to hold the camera and plug this in at the same time. So when you plug that in there like that, you can hear the stereo zinging. And if you push the eject button, I think it lights up. Yeah, it lights up. So there is power there, and the key is off. So I know for a fact the yellow wire is fine. So I checked it right beside it, because the red wire is right beside it, right? Check right beside it, and there's nothing there. It's just an empty slot. Right beside that orange wire would be the equivalent of the yellow, but there's nothing there. So what we have to do is we have to attach this switched wire to the red, so that way when you turn your key on, the red will light up. It's a pain in the ass, but I guess that's what you got to do. I could see people going crazy over this, because the average person would just plug that in and expect it to work and wonder why it's not working. And that's quite the... Cavalier is a pretty common car, so I can see this being a common problem. So I'll just take note of that. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken this red wire that normally goes to the stereo to this harness, and I've completely bypassed it. it's going to the stereo, and it's going to the switch on-off accessory plug over here. If I'm not mistaken, these cars do not have one. They don't have the accessory on-off, and they have I think they have a 5-volt memory wire that goes to the computer. Actually, another thing you'll notice is that when you bypass factory stereo, your doorbell will quit working. So your doorbell, when you open your door and you leave your key on, it should go ding, 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 and you take your key out. That all works through the computer on these cars. And if you want to put an aftermarket stereo in these cars, if you want the doorbell to work, you have to get a separate device, or you have to plug in the factory stereo in the trunk. I actually had one. I had a Cavalier with a factory stereo in the trunk, so the doorbells would work. So you'll notice the doorbells don't work. We got all kinds of signals and stuff going on here right now. Anyway, the doorbells are not going to work from now on, because they work through the factory stereo. The key is on, so will the stereo turn on? Hooray! We did it. We did it. Hooray! Alright, now we need to hook up the antenna to see if it makes like actual noise. Oh my goodness, it works. Better, I'm gonna get a copyright infringement if I keep doing this. JVC? Oh, oui, oui. Oh, excusez-moi.
Alright, let's get the rest.
Oh my goodness. Cavalier. I wrote that song. You're welcome.
No, we gotta tape off the wire.
Oh yes. So that wire, I'm all out of shrink wrap. Go figure. So that wire needs to be taped up, especially since it's a live wire. That's only plastic in there, but yeah, it needs to be taped up.
Shut the key off.
Well, now that the wiring is pretty much done, we're putting the mounting bezel on it. Okay, so got the stereo in, got the bezel on, got the wired up, turn the key on, see it comes alive, and turn the key off and the stereo turns off, turn the key on and it retains memory, same radio station, and now you just gotta put her all back together. Reverse procedures, play the video in reverse. So now you gotta put all the plastics back on, starting with this front bezel, and put all the screws back in and put the dash back on, and that's about it. Well, we had to notch the faceplate, the sides of it, because it wouldn't fit, the stereo wouldn't fit through the faceplate. So we notched the sides a little bit. Terrible, the fitment of this, it didn't fit that great, but we got her.